How's it going, sports gamers? Mike Straw, managing editor, Sports Gamers Online here to talk all about NASCAR video games, Daytona 500s right around the corner as we're recording this. And joining me today is none other than Milad Radman, otherwise known as Real Radman on YouTube. First off, Milad, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me. This game is going to be hyped up for the next few months. I'm ready to start the hype train with you here and talk about it a little bit on Daytona 500 week. Very excited.
Yeah, it feels like it's been forever, and it's the shortest. It seems like I think it's the shortest off season in all of sports. But every time the 500 gets here, I get hyped up, especially this year. Though it's really weird seeing Bowman. Before we talk about the game, seeing Bowman drive a 48 that has been
Yeah,
Jimmy Johnson's for almost 20 years at this point.
it
Like
takes
I'm
me
watching.
back. It takes me
Yeah,
back 5 years ago when Elliott won 24. I couldn't get my head around it.
yeah,
It hurt me.
yeah. That and I mean, seeing Austin Dillon drive the three, though that didn't, I mean, it was out of circulation for so long, it didn't affect me as much as I thought it would. The Jimmy Johnson thing is gonna feel weird. Seeing Bubba Wallace drive the 23 is gonna be pretty cool, knowing that Michael Jordan's involved.
And they're
I'm
looking good too.
yeah, I'm really, and that made me happy because it seemed like he just never had the crew. Like he would drive well, but his car just was never there for when he was with Richard Petty. So we'll see what happens with that too. I'm very excited. Like the amount of excitement I have for this season far outweighs what I've had. And that includes NASCAR video games, as the NASCAR Heat series is dead. Kind of. It'll no longer be NASCAR Heat. It's going to have an entirely new name. It's going to have an entirely new engine. And we're going to talk about what we want to see. So right off the bat, the first thing is what are you expecting from this new engine that they're building at Motorsport?
Well, I'm expecting good things in hence that when I play NASCAR Heat 5 and I play whatever NASCAR 2021 will be like, there will be nothing that is the same. And that I am very excited for that. I think over the last few years we've gotten a handle of what the Heat games are like. We understand the Unity engine, and I am not exaggerating when I say this game should be different in every sense of the word and every detail of every track, of every car, of how it looks and plays. For those of you that don't know how game engines work, like when you switch the game engine, I mean, it's everything. You're building straight from scratch. Every new texture, detail, the lighting, the physics, everything is different. And so I'm really, really excited for that. Not even necessarily if it'll be good or bad. I'm just really excited for it to be different and be on par with now the PS5 and Xbox Series X, along with the PC version, which will always be great. But the lowest common denominator is now higher, so I'm expecting a lot more. And hopefully, I mean, honestly, I don't want to see this game on PS4 or Xbox One. I want the lowest common denominator to be the PS5 and Xbox Series X, and just push it forward.
So you and I agree right there. I'm the type when a new console generation comes, while some games I kind of expect, I want the games that I enjoy, I want them to jump right away and leave the old generation in the past, because I feel like you have to bring the quality of the new technology down until you get to that point um where it's only on the new consoles. So yeah, I think dump the PS4, dump the Xbox One. You've reached the limit on what they can do, and you have a brand new engine. And Motorsport Games is keeping everything close to the vest. Like all we know is that they're building the engine in house. They're not talking to anybody about this other than a very select few of people. I know a lot of the people from the NASCAR Heat E League know about it, but they're not talking for obvious reasons because of that relationship. So it has to be something very special that they're excited about pushing out, especially because NASCAR Heat 5, although I enjoyed it, it felt so much because of how early it came out compared to the last few games. It felt so just too similar. Yeah, we maxed out the Unity engine. I never felt like the Unity engine was right for this game or for this franchise. It's just a engine that was, I mean, when NASCAR Heat returned, it was an engine that was there and already ready to be built for. So I don't, I'm in the mindset of, yeah, I don't want anything old back. I want everything new. The game, maybe I'm expecting too much, but I think we're going to get close, hopefully. Not close. We're going to be moving towards the direction of the Formula One franchise, but I don't think it's going to be as far off as what a lot of people are kind of thinking.
Yeah, I think to me the most important thing isn't the flashy kind of areas. And real quick, just to hop back to the marketing style, I think this is a perfect opportunity for them as well because the PS5 and the Xbox Series X have so few games on it right now.
Yep.
I mean, look at any type of game. There's so little to choose from. And I know the worry is, well, there's so many people that own a PS4 and Xbox One. We got to ship that on that, ship the game on those consoles. But you'll get so many new people that will buy the game because I mean, the demand right now is so high for games, and the supply is so low that putting this game on PS5 and Xbox Series X only along with PC will be awesome. Back to what I'm expecting. Yeah, it's I just want the core of the game right now to be great. Not even touching on like career mode or online or anything like that. And I hope they don't really change the online. I think their servers are good. I have not seen many issues with people online. It's just the people racing, if they go too crazy, that's usually the issue. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's
I've
in
not
every
seen.
every racing game. It's just you get the one person who wrecks early, and then they decide to ruin the race for everybody else.
Exactly. And I talked to them back on NASCAR Heat too. I mean, I've had a long relationship with these guys, and I reiterated the point of please never go to matchmaking lobbies, and they listened. And I remember, they implemented a lot of the ideas I told them about, and it's like a NASCAR '09 style, pick your lobby, see who's in there, create your own race, and have a timer and do that kind of thing instead of like Formula One, where my biggest criticism in those games is I enter a lobby and no one's there with me and I can't control the lobby I go into, and
Yep.
that stuff is really frustrating to me. So I love everything they do online. Obviously the core game needed work, and that's where this game's now going to go. The new one is the core game. I want the game to look beautiful, and I want the game to just play well in terms of physics wise. And the NASCAR Heat developers have had a very good history in terms of the AI being very competent compared to most NASCAR games. So I'm not worried about that area. Just the core of the game, make it look better, make it race better, keep the great AI that you guys have already worked on so hard, and it
Mm-hmm.
does a really good job. And after that, I don't need those extra features until maybe later down the line, because I know putting out a yearly game is really difficult, especially during the COVID situation. So those are my expectations are low, except for the core of the game. They got to
Yeah,
get that right.
yeah, and that's the foundation. I feel like people will gladly forgive missing features like modes and things like that. Like if a championship mode isn't in there, no one's gonna care. Or if the career mode isn't as deep as you'd want, no one's gonna care if once you get on the course or on the track, it is the greatest feeling that the series has ever had. Like, no, I'm a big firm believer that games, I mean, everybody should feel this way. Games should be fun first when you're actually in the gameplay rather than off. So, like, games, football games, basketball games, hockey games, whatever it may be. If I'm not having fun when I'm actually in the game playing, I don't care about all the stuff I can do off the field or off the court or off the track. The game better control well, it better feel well. Yeah, you mentioned the AI, and I love the AI. I find myself having more competitive races now than I ever had, just doing quick races or even in my career. What I don't want to see, however, is this feeling of the cars. I don't know. They feel like at times they've often felt that you can control them either way too simply, like easy, or they're impossible to control. There's not that fine. I have yet to find that like perfect medium where I'm having like I can fight my car or and get a good feel, get a good grip on the track, find a nice line. I don't feel like there's multiple lines. I'd really like to see that implemented. I feel like in NASCAR Heat 5, you're stuck to one line and that's it. There really was rarely multiple line racing. I do online and everybody stays in the same spot no matter what. No one really takes that chance. It just felt like it was too closed of a gameplay loop for me.
Yeah, and funny enough, even iRacing doesn't have multiple lines right now,
I know,
and that's one of
and
the main
that's
reasons
what
why I've
everybody
stayed
looks
off
at.
of it. Yeah, and So like obviously we're never gonna get iRacing level physics into a console game. Everyone understands that, but right now even iRacing has so many problems with their multi-groove racing. The tires basically broken on the Cup cars. I mean, there's a lot of
Yeah.
things going on there. So yeah, if they put a lot of focus into the flashy details, I won't mind. I mean, that's what sells the game, and that's great for the future of the franchise, and it's very entertaining for me as well. I've just been of the notion now that I'm just so tired of the kind of arcadey weird physics. I don't even know if it's arcadey. It's just kind of weird. It's punishing and yet easy at the same time. It's very odd to drive a loose race car that you could never save, and like you scrub off a lot of speed, and then you go to something like the old Technics games and you realize like I can slide off a corner and that's all I'm doing. I'm sliding off a corner. I can feel the car sliding in the rear or pushing in the front, and you can't feel that
Yeah.
in the Heat games. And so that's if they put all the development time into that area, I'm really happy with it. Obviously they have the backing now, so it's not like a situation of with the 704 games / Monster Games era where very very tight budgets, not really not a lot of worked with. Motorsport Games is building this engine from the ground up. The backing's there. I mean, they're even sponsoring in the Daytona 500, I think, with one of the teams, I think,
Yep.
this week. So there's a lot of you know force going into this. And Motorsport Games is also doing the British Touring Car Series, which is coming in 2022, and they're probably going to try and do more depending on how much further they want to go. So the NASCAR franchise is under a good umbrella now, under good leadership, and for the game for this year specifically, I don't know if it's coming out in the summer or in the fall, because I think we all know last year's game came out early because they kind of just wanted to get it out and work on this one. So this is a big one. They've opened up their thoughts in their chest, and they've been transparent and said, yeah, NASCAR E5, we know not a lot changed, but there's a reason for that, and this is the reason. So really,
Yeah, they
words
didn't
don't
hide it,
matter anymore.
which I like. They could have just done this whole show and like look at all and took like this little small tiny thing and made it this earth-shattering feature, tried to sell it. A lot of people thought they did that with the testing. With the testing feature mode that they added, which personally I liked. I didn't use it too much, but I get why they add it for a lot of people who do competitive. A lot of the e-league racers, a lot of the people do online leagues. So it made sense to have it. And I have a feeling it'll be obviously be back for NASCAR 2021 or whatever they decide to call it. And yeah, I feel like they still have to find this fine balance because even when setting up a car, it was to me, it's always been a nice mix of you can do as much as you really want to it, but it also is welcoming to the new player. And that's one of I think my biggest concern is they're building this new engine. It's likely going to be a much more realistic experience than we've had from this franchise or from since 704 took over. And I'm nervous because there's a lot of people getting into the sport. I'm kind of nervous that it might be too the barrier of entry might be too high that'll turn off some casual drivers.
Yeah, I think one of the things they could put when it definitely comes to setups is I noticed in Heat 5 they don't have an explanation for the changes in the setups. You
Yep.
just kind of you go through bump rebound, and I'm not a massive setup / car guy. I don't know what changing the bump and rebound at certain levels or stuff like that does. I know changing the springs or rubbers and stuff. I know that, but I mean when you get to really nitty gritty stuff, I don't know what's going on. And I watch NASCAR week in and week out, so you tell me other people are gonna know what's going on here if they're not car guys. So something as
Yeah.
simple as getting someone in and just writing descriptions on each adjustment, just like, hey, this is what this does. You go do one way. This is what it does. Figure it out. Have fun. That'd be nice just to have that because that would help me too. Barrier of
Yeah, nice
entry.
tutorial
Yeah,
section I think would go such a long way. Yeah, whether it's not, hey, adjusting this will make your car tighter coming out of the corners and looser going in or vice versa. Like, yeah, people don't know that adjusting the PSI on your left tires and right tires, there's a lot of
yeah.
people that don't know why you would have it completely different
And
depending
that's
on what
not a
you're doing.
feature I would be uh that's a feature I wouldn't mind is like you start up the game
Mhm.
and there's a first thing tutorial. I don't Has there ever been a NASCAR game with that? I'm trying to
I don't
think.
think so. I don't know. I think every NASCAR game is kind of assumed if you're gonna mess with the setups of your car, you know what you're doing, which
Yeah.
um, you know what happened. I mean, there's that age old saying, you know what happens when you assume things.
Yeah, I
So
think only '06 with their team control thing had some sort of a prologue slash tutorial. But other than that, like, yeah, put me on the track, tell me what to do, tell me what this does, tell me what that does, and then never show it to me again after I start playing the game more often. I don't really mind. I mean, if that's on the list and you guys got time to do it, cool. If it sacrifices from something in the physics section of making the car great, then no, don't do it because I want
yeah.
the game, focus all the time there. But yeah, I've talked to these guys. I know a lot of the guys here. Um, I know their ambitions. I know that they know their issues with their own game, and so I'm very confident with them in terms of getting this right. And yeah, even for the esports drivers, like I don't talk to really any of the e-league guys because I'm not, if I do any sort of competitive racing, it's going to be on iRacing. It's not going to be on the Heat series.
That's how I
Um,
am.
but I know they want a better game for themselves. I mean, I've watched a few broadcasts from like checked in here and there from the East series, and nothing seems out of the ordinary other than the game just needs to be better. Like the production's
Yeah.
great, the drivers do a good job with what they have. So I think as long as the developers just know, and they know this, just get that game going in the right area with the core of it, which they obviously changing the engine's a massive step in doing that. So we'll see where it goes from here.
And moving on, before we actually move on to what we're hoping, we got a lot of questions about what we want to see from modes, because that's again what the casual fan really, really likes, and I don't blame them. They want that mode, a deep mode to go into and enjoy. But from a gameplay standpoint, the last thing is the car and how they controls. We've touched on it a little bit already, but I've never I've never enjoyed the Heat series with a controller. There are some games like for example, the Dirt series. They feel great whether you're using a wheel or a controller. Formula 1 I think has it down pat on whether you're using a wheel or controller. The NASCAR Heat series has never felt good with a controller in my hand because I feel like you just can't control it enough with the joystick or get that fight to make sure you're not oversteering or whatever. For you, do you think that's an issue that needs to be solved for this? Because how many people are going to set up a wheel?
I would say 95% of people are on a controller. So,
Yeah,
I mean, that's just my opinion. Everyone wants to think, oh, you have a wheel. No. Most people don't have a wheel that are playing the Heat game.
they're
That's just,
expensive.
yeah,
I
they're
mean,
expensive.
you're shelling out at least $400 just to get started, and that's for a low entry level wheel.
Yeah. And that's not like, come on. That's just not, I even know back in the day when I was like 10 years old, like I'm playing on a controller. There are so many kids nowadays that are playing on a controller. They have no idea that they're going to use a wheel. I mean, we're talking about the hardcore of hardcore people that are going to use the wheel. NASCAR 85 was my first game on the wheel. I played every NASCAR 8 game before that on a controller, and then on NASCAR 85 I went back to controller. Just on a wheel, it was much better. I admit, like controller to wheel, the difference was like, whoa, this is crazy. Maybe the wheel's worth it. You go back to controller, and yeah, I mean the controller has issues on Heat 5. When I played F1 2020, I preferred the controller over the wheel actually because I felt like the wheel was a little bit too much of a learning curve for the amount of time I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to put into the game. And I've played many F1 games on controller, and throughout their all their years, you always had a certain feel on controller that was forgiving yet challenging.
Yeah,
The speed balance between the pad and the wheel was also pretty balanced as well. So yeah, they nailed it down. I don't know the intricacies of why they struggle with the controller compared to the wheel because the game NASCAR Heat feels so much different on a wheel compared to a controller. It feels so much smoother, and
yeah.
I don't understand why they can't switch that over to the controller. It kind of confuses me a lot.
When we did that charity race back over the summer that you were part of, I decided I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to use the controller because I just didn't have the space. We were in the middle of a renovation, and I didn't have the space to set up the wheel. So I used the controller, and then I wrecked on the first lap, and I finished in last place. Like it was a terrible time for me. It was hilarious at times seeing me get lapped 5 laps into a race, but it just you go from a controller. If you've only used a controller, you get used to it. But the second you go to a wheel, even if it's once and you try and go back, it just made it. I couldn't play it anymore with a controller at that point. It just didn't feel right to me. But yeah, Formula One, I'm in the same boat kind of. I prefer the controller. Like I enjoy the wheel, but I've used the wheel quite a bit for Formula One, so that makes sense as to why it felt good to me or better. But yeah, it's one game where I can sit down, relax, and play, and still have a good time with the controller in my hand. So I'm hoping that Motorsport has paid attention to that, and they really go forward with the controller
Yeah.
aspect and make it feel good. Because racing games, if you can nail that controller, you have the way it feels and how it handles your car. You've made a big jump to a lot of people.
Yeah, and you also have the PS5 DualSense now that they could work with too.
Yeah.
So I don't know whatever features they want to put in that one with the adaptive triggers and haptic feedbacks. That'd be pretty cool too to see what they do there.
Yeah, I'd expect them to utilize it somehow, unlike the PS4 when they introduced the touchpad that no one wanted to utilize.
Yeah.
So, game modes itself, people, I mean, we're going to have online races. There's going to be a single player career of some sort. Will it be as deep? Even though the career mode in Heat 5 isn't the deepest, you can build a team, you can go solo. I'm interested to see if they bring that aspect back or if everything's new from scratch, because with a new engine, it gives you the opportunity to really build everything from scratch. And that starts with a single player career where people spend most of their time.
Yeah, I was trying to think how much different would they go. There's been very wide range of career modes in NASCAR games. You had like the contract based career modes and some of the EA Sports games. You had Fight to the Top, which is similar to what the Heat series was doing when you add all the series in the game, and you know you have to go up. I think Fight to the Top did it better than what Heat. When did they add all the series? Heat 3, I think, when they had everything. Um,
Heat 3 they added the fight, and then Heat 4 is when they started you can be a team, I believe.
Okay, yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is I don't. In a career, I don't see a better way of doing it than the current format of, start lower, you can gain some money. Biggest thing for me is I want the money to matter. I want weekly expenses. I want, just make me suffer in a way by paying my employees. Like I want that to be a thing. Make me suffer for wrecking my car. Make me suffer for using too many tires. I want that punishment. I want, because that just makes me that more immersed into the game, and it's not just like I'm just gonna go out there and just do whatever I want, And I don't think that's a huge change. I really don't. I mean, that's all kind of just, that's mostly coding and putting a lot of lines in there into the game engine. It has nothing to do with actually what happens on track. It's just if you finish this position, this is what happens to you financially.
And I love, like, in every sports game, I want the contracts and the money to matter, and a lot of games are still struggling to figure out how to make that work.
Yeah.
And one thing I really want is I want a rivalry system that's more than just, hey, this guy's mad at you, in a dashboard that shows in your off when you're off the track. Like, if I'm in a rivalry and I really got someone pissed off at me, if I pissed off Kyle Busch, which, because I don't like Kyle Busch real life, I just don't like him, I will intentionally try and put him in the wall. Same with Logano. If I do that, they remember that, they come back after me. It's like, that's the type of stuff I want. My online race or my in-career race, I want to actually build a relationship. Like, if I'm friendly with another driver, we'll work together on tracks that require us to pair up and move up, like at Daytona or Talladega or things like that.
Yeah, I think that's a little bit more challenging, because then you're really getting into the actual game and trying to get specific AI to do a specific thing at this specific track, and you have to do this and this and this before they even do that. And that one I do find challenging. So that's why I don't ask for it as of yet. I would like it, but I don't ask for it because I know, that's pretty difficult to do and nail down right. And there's a lot of bugs that could come from it.
That's probably one of those things where you're looking at maybe 2 to 3 years in this new engine before they finally
and a lot of trial and error and a lot of experimenting. I mean, even the F1 games don't have that. And I like from the F1, obviously you don't have one other teammate that you compete with, but F1, that world, you compete with teammates, and the game understood that and they implemented that into their game. So what does NASCAR have? NASCAR does teammates. They do have rivalries. So yes, I would like rivalries in the game. I would like the teammates to matter a little bit more. I don't know how exactly. Trying to think of certain ways.
Just even like test sessions. Test sessions. I don't know.
Invitational events with teammates. Something like that. That would be kind of cool. That those flashy, like, little invitational events. There's just something of a break in between races. That would be nice. But yeah, you'll notice, I think both of us, we're not asking for anything too drastic in a career mode. I'm not talking about full-blown cutscenes with a storyline of this and that.
No, I'm not a fan of storyline ones. I want to actually play like I'm living a career. I don't need some shoehorn storyline where I have a name. Let me be a driver or a team owner and let me build relationships with my
Exactly.
teammates. If I'm owning the team, let me build a relationship with my drivers to where I might piss them off to the point where they decide to leave after their contract's up and they won't negotiate with me.
Yeah.
Let,
Yeah. Yeah.
let me have that type of stuff. Let me create my own story, basically.
Exactly. And I've talked to them, and this is their like one of their long-term visions was something of that story-esque kind of thing. But it also would be different from a owner slash career mode. It would be like its own thing, similar to I think Madden Long Shot. You know, EA does a terrible job with those things, but it would be something similar to that. They just never had the funding to do it. Again, those kind of things, I'm not asking for it. I don't think a lot of people are. Not yet. Give it like 5 years, maybe. Like once you get the career mode down, then if you want to do something else, that's a huge marketing sell that would sell a lot of copies.
God,
so I
yeah.
get it. But just not right now. Just get the career mode to work, get the owner mode. I actually kind of like the fact of owning your own team, and there's a startup cost to it, which there already is. I always thought about, I don't think this is possible anymore in the licensing. I think NASCAR '07 did it, where you could buy one of the teams. You like buy Hendrick Motorsports for $20 million. I don't think NASCAR licensing contracts let that even happen anymore
No,
in
I
that
think
NASCAR game.
they'd fight that.
Yeah.
It's
So I
kind of
don't think
why
that's,
it's kind of why they're fighting the idea for a full-on paint booth right now, is because
yeah.
of someone taking the number 48 car that's currently sponsored by Ally and deciding, I want Food Line to be the sponsor or whatever, something that's not even a NASCAR sponsor. Like they just go,
Yeah.
they create a custom thing and they put Playboy on it or something.
Yeah,
I
and
don't know.
they're gonna fight that to the end. There are loopholes around it though, so that's why I'm confident paint booth will be coming in the next 2 to 3 years, hopefully. I
Yep.
mean, you could just say like, "Oh, here's a paint booth, here's the template. We're not responsible for anything you guys do." And
Yeah.
there's
Or just
definitely ways to
say,
get around it.
I mean, some games, NBA, the 2K series does it really well, but there are some games like, yeah, you can customize it however you want, but you can't upload it for other
Yeah,
people to download. That's one way to perfectly work around it, because then it's only for your local. If you decide to do the race online, you just have a generic colored car that everybody else sees
yeah,
and you see your custom job. So there's ways. I think we're close to getting a paint booth. They've been wanting to work on it and implement it. It's just there's legalities they got to cross that not many people think about, and it's a lot harder nowadays than it was back in the day to get away with
yeah.
things.
It
So when
is.
people say, "Oh, well, they had it in NASCAR '05," okay, things in 2004 and 2005 are a million times different than they are in 2021. It's just
Yeah,
how it is. Things change and people get more stubborn and look into it a lot deeper.
yeah, and this is also one of the. I mean, if everyone wants paint booth so bad, like there might not be a paint booth in this game, but modding is a thing. If you're on PC, I
Yeah,
mean,
people do
we
it all
look
the
on
time.
Formula One. You can mod anything you want onto a Formula One car right now, and I'm very sure that if the community listen, I can't do it, so I'm not gonna say like, yeah, let's go mod. I don't know how to mod. That's that's a skill. It's a talent you gotta learn. And I don't really want to learn how to do all that with all that code and figuring out everything I gotta do. And I can't even paint a car, so no, I'm not gonna do that. But for those of you that are like really good at painting cars, you guys do it on trading paints all the time. Um, these games are moddable. Like this is not just a console only game. You can, I guarantee you, with NASCAR 2021, if you figure out how you can mod it, you can mod it just like any other PC game. And if you want to put for your own benefit, whatever paint scheme you want, even on NASCAR Heat 5, I've seen Budweiser paint schemes. I've seen throwback paint schemes of Casey Kane for a lot of people. All custom paint schemes. They've learned how to do it. So that is one workaround for yourself if you can do it. I obviously can't, so I ask around and ask the community if they
Yep.
if they're able to do it. But that is one workaround to a paint booth if they can't implement it. And yeah, so that'll be one of the biggest features asked for. It is every year. It's not up on top of my list, but it's getting there. It's getting closer and closer.
Yeah, especially when they add more things that we want. And one of the things, and we'll start winding this conversation down, is online. Again, I found online fine. There were some issues, like if you wanted to spectate viewing the leaderboards and where positioning was and that type of stuff wasn't working for the longest time. Is there anything online that you'd like to see added? For me, the idea for more, if you have spectators, more for them to watch where they can bounce around the cars. Um, and things like that. But on the track, maybe a full race weekend, maybe they implement the ability to create a online league. So you create your schedule, you invite people to it, and then you have it that way. So it's already made and people can go in and test their cars during that specific week for that race or whatever it may be. But that's really all I can think of for it.
Yeah, I think this comes down to resources. So I
Yeah.
would say like the online league thing, I'd rather get a lot of the single player done first and the physics first and all that stuff first before I even think about that. Something like the spectator mode, I think would be a good addition. Even like the replay system, I'd like the replay system to be kind of just torn all the way down and
Oh my
redone.
God. Yeah.
I would like that. So that all goes into online. Other than that, I really, ever since I gave them all my ideas a few years ago, they've implemented all of it. Like I don't have anything else I kind of want from online. Just make sure it runs well, make sure there's no lag, which in my opinion, from my experience, I can't speak on everyone, but from my experience, it's just about how other people race and the physics. It's not
Yep.
about the actual game servers or anything like that. So I'm happy with everything they're doing. If they want to touch up the replay system, I would take that. And if they want to add a few more spectator options, I would take that. Other than that, I'm good for now. I don't really want anything online league wise, because I feel like there's plenty of workarounds for it. You could keep your own points, keep your own schedule, and just kind of get everyone in. Let's say create a website or something, Facebook group. I've seen so many people do it that kind of way. I'd rather it be done that way for now, and wait till you have the resources to then do it like fully within the game and kind of help everyone out that way.
One thing that you talking about the replay system that I really want, it's such a small niche thing that I don't see it being implemented anytime soon. I want the ability to watch a full AI race. I don't know why, but I want that ability to where if I want to do like, obviously us being content creators, if we wanted to say Daytona 500 is coming up, we're going to do a simulation and see what would happen. I want that ability. And again, it's small, very small amount of people want that, but it'd be something to see, cool to see down the line.
Yeah, I don't know how hard that would be. I
Me
don't.
neither.
I mean, you take the own player out of the game and do all 43 AI in a replay system. I'll admit, I don't. Yeah, I don't see many people asking for it. So even if I was a developer, I would like, would that even be on my mind? But yeah, for
Probably
me, for
not. Yeah.
you, it would be a good thing. Yeah. Like for example, thumbnail. I'd love a photo mode. Thumbnails are
Yeah.
almost impossible right now. Like, can you please take the sponsor of the race off the top left of the screen so I can get a decent, I have to go through the entire replay, pause it at a certain time, go back and
Yep.
forth.
It's a
I can't
nightmare.
pick the camera yeah. So that kind of stuff is really frustrating. So a photo mode would be nice, but those are, like you said, niche kind of things. It's not,
Yeah,
for
nice to
everyone.
haves.
So
If they add it, awesome. If not, we'll continue to do what we do now.
if not, it's fine. I am not going to raise hell and raise hell, praise Dale. I'm not going to do that just for a replay system. It is okay.
As we wrap this up, let everybody know where they can find you on YouTube, on social media, anywhere.
Yeah, youtube.com/realradman, twitter.com/realradman, instagram.com/realradman. I made sure I did really well. I'm making sure everything that I have is all real radman. So that's it. It's just my last name with a real in front of me, and then pick the website. You'll be able to find me. And yeah, so for all NASCAR gaming stuff, that's where I am. I'm doing a lot of different gaming stuff right now. I will get back into iRacing soon. I just really hope they fix their damn tire model and their track thing, because that's really what's driving me away at the moment. And for the real life stuff, I'm excited. I'm excited for this season. Like you said, it's going to be a fun season. I'm personally am more excited for my baby that's coming next year, which is the new car. I've been talking about it for probably 4 years now.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited for that. And yeah, so that's what you're seeing me, all the NASCAR stuff. Maybe even some FIFA if I ever decide to do it. I know a lot of you guys don't want to see it, but I'll start doing other stuff as well. But yeah, that's where you guys can find me. And I appreciate coming on and talking about the new game. I'm so excited. Like, I can't explain how important this game is, but also how hyped this game should be, because
Yeah.
I don't think people quite understand. This just really won't be nothing like NASCAR Heat 5. I don't think they maybe understand that. Like, oh, it's the same developer. No, but this game will have nothing that resembles NASCAR Heat 5, and I'm just really excited for that. It's new, it's fresh. I'm really excited for it.
Yeah, it seems like for the first time in years, we have something to be excited for as racing fans, both on the track and in the gaming realm. And I know when all that information drops, we'll talk about it again. But until next time, this is Mike Straw for Malad Radman signing off.